I didn't know I was going to be first, but yeah, I guess first one in the door had to sign up first. I'm first, so I won't elaborate. But I really want to talk to you about an excursion train for the Coalfields. You know, West Virginia is inundated with railroad tracks. There's been a lot of families that have been lost on the railroad tracks. There's been a lot of stuff that's come into West Virginia by rail, and there's been a lot of stuff that's gone out of West Virginia by rail, more than we will ever see or get back, I believe. But, you know, I think it's time that we actually consider the rail system our asset and get some type of an excursion train running in the Coalfield area that would actually bring economic development to the 4 counties. I have a display over here that you can check out, and it's concerning Raleigh, Wyoming, McDowell and Mercer counties, and this excursion train could actually be boarded here in Princeton and can go over to Bluefield and on over into Bramwell, around to Welch, into Mullins, and up into Sophia, and then it can go on into Prince, the historic Prince train station, so by way of Raleigh and Glade Creek, I believe it is. Is it Piney Creek? But this rail system would be an enormous project, but I believe it can be done. I think it would turn southern West Virginia into a brand new Gatlinburg with a low tax rate of 6.25% on retail sales. So I think it could be done, because I think in Gatlinburg it's 10%. But anyway, I really believe this can be done. I think we can have the Polar Express type train. We can have fall foliage tours. We can have all kinds of tours that can run at least on the weekends, and it can be boarded in Sophia and brought back down around through Mullins. It can be boarded at any of these locations, and I believe this is something, and you can also exit at these locations and spend time in Welch if you wanted to do the rail system or the trail system in Welch, the Hatfields and McCoys. You could take the train, go there and get off in Welch. And you know, what better way for economic development than to bring passengers to these communities and showcase the Industrial Revolution historical value of these areas. These areas were the areas that made West Virginia great, where the coal was mined, that made the steel, that built the buildings, and built the bridges across this nation. And it needs to be showcased. It's very worthy of that, because if they can do it in Gatlinburg on farming, I think we can do it in West Virginia on coal. I'll let you talk to Steve.
So just briefly, I just would like to add that wouldn't it be great to imagine that we would have to worry about where we're going to build a hotel to house all the people that are coming to ride the train, or the new restaurants would be built in the amount of economic development, because we have the perfect resources already available, and that's the nature and the trails and the rails are already there. And if we could get the support of the counties to get on board to help us get in touch with the rail system to where we could share this rail. In some places the rails have just been left, discarded, to where we could use these rail systems to make this happen. I think it would be a huge economic impact in all these counties and help grow southern West Virginia.
When I'm here, we have a lot of needs. We have a lot of needs in West Virginia. We have a lot of problems in West Virginia. And to me, a solution to a lot of these problems are jobs, good paying jobs, jobs that pay a living wage, jobs that can provide for health insurance and pensions. And that all comes with infrastructure. You know, we've got projects underway. We've got the Coalfields Expressway, which they just let another 2 miles, which is headed towards Welch or that area. Well, it intersects at the prison, at the new prison. King Cole Highway and Coalfield Expressway intersect there. Anyway, infrastructure jobs are the kind of jobs that we need, and jobs that provide, like I say, a living wage, health insurance, pension plans. Now, with the new administration and after, the results of this election, for the first time in 83 years, the other side's going to get a chance to show how they are going to govern. And they talk about bringing prosperity to West Virginia. Then in the next breath, they talk about the first thing they're going to do is eliminate the state prevailing wage on publicly funded projects. I know that that's not real popular with a lot of people down here in Mercer County and everywhere. But how are you going to build a sustainable future if you plan on building it on low-wage jobs? We want to do things and create things, have a train, have a trail like you're talking about, Tom, and all. We're not going to do that for free. We're not going to let people go on the train for free. The best consumers of things like that are well-paid workers. So I would just urge everybody to, when they're thinking about the things that we could do and all that, the first thing you do is not cut prevailing wage. There are an awful lot of people that work on prevailing wage jobs, and I'm in the union, I'm a union representative, but a lot of prevailing wage jobs go to non-union companies, and they pay their workers the prevailing wage. It's something that, if the whole idea is if we eliminate prevailing wage, and I saw Representative Gerhardt from here, when they had the governor's blue ribbon commission on how are we going to find funding for highways. And he stood up and had a sign that said stop on one side and slow on the other side. And he spun it around and he said, you seen these guys? These guys make $35 an hour. And the people gasped, like how terrible that was. What's $35,000 or $35 an hour? I mean, it's a living wage, and you could plan, but I mean, it's not like you live high off the hog. And you have to remember, the majority of these people only work a part of the year. If you work 6 months, that's a pretty good year. And, anyway, I just want to bring that to you people's attention. I want people to think about that. We could do great things here, but we can't do it by starting to cut people's pay. I mean, what are we going to replace these jobs with? Jobs that the workers still qualify for food stamps? That's the wrong way to go. I'll sit down now. Thank you for your time.
Good to see you.
Yes, I've made all 3 of your visits so far, so I'm one of your fans. The topic this evening that I have to talk about is annexation. And if you don't know me, I sit on City Council for the City of Beckley. And Beckley is working hard to try to annex some of the properties that are in the city and around the city. There are donuts holes all through the city of Beckley, and there's a lot of, it seems to be harder to annex these bottle holes and these places around town because they tell us that, there's like legislation that could be passed to make it easier for cities to annex. You take a nice city like Beckley, and about 17,000 people. Okay, any given day, there's 70,000 people running around Beckley. And I know we're here in Mercer County, and I'm sure they got the same problem in Princeton and Bluefield, where they have, like, here's Princeton, but they're like the city is responsible, or people think the city is responsible for more than what they're really responsible for. So I'm saying Beckley has a police department of 17,000 people. Well, with all these bottle holes running through the city, The county has to come in and they have to, like police and the volunteer fire departments have to take care of these little bottle holes. Well, this is a problem because the county, the people who live outside of the city, they're losing a police officer or a fire force because those officers have to police the inside of Beckley. And like there are, like when you go over to buy a car in Beckley, if you buy one over there and you don't buy it from Lewis Chevrolet, the city of Beckley gets 0 B&O tax off of that. But we're still responsible, the city is, for most of the services that are around there. It's troubling. And there needs to be, that needs to be made easier for us some way or another. It has to be continuous. So if we were to want to annex a particular business over here, okay, and the city boundaries doesn't meet up with that business, we have to find a way to get the boundaries over to get that business to pay the B&O tax. I hope I'm making sense on what I'm trying to explain here, but it's a real problem. Also, John talking about his train. If you've been paying attention to the new river down at Prince, there's a train station down there, and they're wanting to completely remodel this thing with senators and this federal senators and all. And this is right outside of the Boy Scout camp, and there's a C&O Railroad from Prince. It does go directly up Piney Creek. It goes up to Beckley and Raleigh, and from Raleigh, it goes over towards Sophia, and then from Sophia, it enters into Mullins and the whole Coalfields out there. So he does have a good idea, and I do support that, and I hope some way or another we can, see that dream come to life too. That's all I got. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Nathan. I want to thank everyone for creating this task force and coming to Southern West Virginia. It's truly a pleasure to see something like this happen. My story is kind of unique. I spent the first 25 years of my life in North Carolina and then came to West Virginia. McDowell County is the home of 4 generations of my family, and I'm proud to serve as McDowell Choice's project director for West Virginia University. My program essentially provides physical activity enhancements to McDowell County schools. But I have a lot of time when I'm not at work to think about creative solutions. I'm always thinking about how we turn our weaknesses into strengths. And I'm going to hit on a few very different topics just quickly. First, I painted the mural with my father, Tom Acosta. It's on Mercer Street. It's called In Honor of All Veterans. And one thing I discovered as he ran for his campaign was West Virginia is not the most vet-friendly state in the nation. Why that is, I don't understand. I think that should definitely be a goal. Second, we need more brain power. I think of all the things we don't have or things that we need brain power more than we need money. I would like to echo what the gentleman said earlier about utilizing our rail systems and creating a train-based economy or a train, enriching the resources we have with the existing railroads. One thing I've shared with my friend Patrick, who's also here tonight, is creating a train that utilizes higher education institutions in West Virginia. Imagine the impact of seeing a big blue and gold WVU train come into a place like Mullins or Sophia. I think that our local citizens here either don't remember or never learned the history of the area, and I think that we need to support schools that offer history courses and degrees. They need to see this history firsthand. I think the coal industry at large needs to reshape its image, and it needs to educate its own workforce of the history and the sacrifices that have been made over the generations. So I'd love to connect with you more about what can be used with the railroads and in terms of higher education. Not only will the people in Morgantown come down and see, or Huntington, or wherever, see the Southern Coalfields, but they'll interact with the community. I had the pleasure of teaching a Tai Chi course at North Fork United Methodist Church this fall, and I talked to a recently retired coal miner, and I said, given all that you went through, would you do it again? And he said, absolutely. And I think people need to hear their stories, and I think a train is a wonderful method to do that with existing infrastructure that's already here while we wait for the roads to be built. While I'm talking about roads, I want to say thank you so much for the dollars spent to improve our roads. I travel the archaic 52 on a daily basis from my home in Gilbert to all areas in McDowell County, and it's truly a pleasure to have smooth surfaces, and whatever we can do to make those roads safer is something very important to me. The third thing I want to talk about are ways we can make it easier for people who want to obtain higher education to get that. There are a lot of unique problems in southern West Virginia where people might have childcare or transportation issues that make it difficult. If you are in Welch, you're over an hour's drive from a closest community college. I think we need creative daycare solutions. We need also to foster an environment where people who already have jobs could go back to school if they like to. I think I can't identify any specific examples, but I think it's quite likely you might have a nurse employed at Welch Community Hospital that's been there for 25 years and always had a dream of opening a small business that could employ 10 other people. But she feels that her only employment option is to stay where she's at or leave the state. We need brain power in all sorts of ways. We need all types of people thinking about how to elevate the brain power. In addition to smarts, we also just need more power in the spirit of emotion. We need to inspire people again. I live in a tiny apartment building above a furniture store. One of my neighbors is a paranoid schizophrenic. The other two are convicted felons. And I see the desperation on people's face on a daily basis. They just need to be uplifted and inspired, and through whatever means necessary. I think one thing that would be wonderful is an effort to knock down some of these geographic, cultural boundaries. I don't know why there's such an issue with county lines, but people in one county might not ever know people 10 minutes down the road. For me, I've moved 19 times in 20 years. I plan on making my 20th move when I purchase my own home, and I hope that's in West Virginia. But when I look at the opportunities available to my peers that I graduated with, it's a very tough decision to be making. The last thing I wanted to say is I think we need, and I know that a priority with the new legislative session is making changes to our judicial system, but we need to give people a second chance. The two people that are my neighbors that are convicted felons have been clean, law-abiding, drug-free citizens for a long time, but the mistakes they made years ago really inhibit what their opportunities are now. One of my neighbors would love to open a restaurant called Cold Cuts, and he's thought through it too. It's $5 grab-and-go sandwiches for the working man and ATV tourist. It's a perfect business plan, and if I could ever connect him with an investor that believed in him, I would. We've got people here that have amazing creative ideas and solutions, and they just need to be empowered to take their ideas into action. Finally, I just want to reemphasize the whole part about bringing weaknesses into strengths. How can we make our topography a strength instead of a weakness? For so long, it's isolated us, but I think with technology, we know that that's no longer possible. I saw this firsthand when my organization held an event at the Armory, and more than 300 devices accessed the online stream, and that was right from Little New York. On the way over here, my friend and I, Patrick, were discussing just casually, what if we made a music festival in McDowell County? Made it a spring break destination and a place where college students wanted to come for the summer to recreate. I think we need to look at ways how to attract other young people to the area. And I just want to thank you for your time.
Good evening, Senators. Thank you all very much for coming to Mercer County. I'm Mark Meacham, President and CEO of the Greater Bluefield Chamber of Commerce. And we're just delighted to have you here. And again, thanks for being a part of us. We're blessed with higher education institutions here in Mercer County with Concord, Bluefield State, American National University, Valley College, New River Community and Technical College, and just over our border, Bluefield College. So we have opportunities for higher education. Mercer County public schools are recognized throughout the state as some of the best that we have. So we need to work to keep these youngsters and folks here in the county. I didn't have an idea. I'm in chamber work. We never have an original idea, but we know how to steal stuff from people. and it was brought to my attention, and I won't say who mentioned it because I didn't get their permission to do it, but think about, Bluefield State has a renowned engineering department. It has been recognized for years as one of the top engineering departments. Its biggest drawback is they are so good that companies from out of here come in and get their students and take them away from us before they can go to work here, or they don't have the opportunities here. They have a nationally known robotics program, if you're not familiar with it, and that's part of their engineering program. The idea is, because of the pressure that's on coal and coal mining, how about a Center for Clean Coal Technology at Bluefield State College? That's all I know about it. But just think about the concept. I don't know that it would take a tremendous amount of money to institute something like that on the campus of Bluefield State, but take advantage of the Department of Engineering that they have there. And when I heard this a couple months ago, I thought, I got to remember this and pitch this at some point to the legislature to get your all's thoughts on how this could benefit this area. I think it's an opportunity where we're located in southern West Virginia and southwest Virginia that really could have some possibilities for the future. So think about that. I look forward to talking with you in the few months coming up. Again, I appreciate you bringing the task force to Mercer County. I wish you all the best. And let's think about that Center for Clean Coal Technology. Has some possibilities. Thank you.
Mark, I think that's a great idea. I like the concept also. I think we've been talking about that a while. But I wanted to ask Nathan, you had done a mural, you said?
I helped my father paint in honor of all their mural, yes, sir.
Okay. And I'll tell the committee, and this is something that I think is, if you have a chance to go through Welch, Tom Acosta is one of the best mural painters probably on the East Coast, or maybe in the country. And he just finished one in my district in Summers County that has been a tremendous asset in Summers County, and we're trying to get some more in Summers County. I think this is something to think about as we talk about creative community design, which is a piece of legislation I've worked on, especially in southern West Virginia. And Tom's work is part of that. I see that as being very essential to what we're doing. It ties into the trains, but it also ties into a lot of things. I've envisioned Welch being a place in southern West Virginia where we could look at nothing but those murals, if nothing else, and create a mountain southern West Virginia craft and arts center because of the beauty of what there is. So I just wanted, I thought it was Costa, but it's Acosta, you were in Acosta, and I didn't get the full names. So again, I would just mention his dad's work is tremendous, and I'm glad he helped with that too.
Thank you.
On your project, I mean, have you taken any of these ideas to any of your local counties? It sounds to me like it's a 4-county initiative, is that right? Have you taken it to the local level, the county commissions, to see if you can get their support in a unified basis for all 4 counties or counties commissions to have a unified effort to then approach apparently the railroads that own the track to give you the right of use of it or abandon them or whatever they're going to do in order to make this a reality? So I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've started locally, and then we'll also have a letter that we've mailed out to all of those local counties and local government.
We haven't done it yet. We've got them ready to go. And what we do need is the signatures of all the county commissioners of the 4 counties. We also need the signature of the mayors for all of the cities, Princeton, Bluefield, Brownville. We want Welch. We want every signature that we can get. Because the more voices, it's going to take more voices to make this happen. And that's what we need. So I have letters here. If they could be, you know, someone that we can, that you know personally, that you can hand this letter to, I can give you copies.
If you'd leave those for us, we'll be happy to grab one on the way. But again, my recommendation is you maybe go formally to each of your county commissions, see if they'll adopt a resolution supporting your initiative, maybe the mayors of the counties or the cities within your counties as well that might be affected, and then try to maybe bring that, to get a unified voice to both the legislature and probably even more importantly to the whoever would operate this, would it be the the Coalfield Express train, whoever would be the operator of that, to make sure that you have both the capital and the ability to then approach the railroads to make sure that they'll dedicate their lines or let you have the right of use in order to make your project a reality.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Senator Art Kirkendall. I represent the 7th Senatorial District. Been in the Senate, started when the governor became the governor. I was his appointee in November, December of 11 and 12. I ran in 12 for a term which started in 13 through 16. And coming from Logan County, that's part of the heart of the Coalfields, I was impressed that President Kessler put together a group of senatorial people to go out into the southern part of the state and find out how we can make things better. And there's a lot of reasons for that, I think, and I'm glad to be a part of that. We've been to Beckley, Oak Hill, and tonight Princeton, and we finish up next Tuesday night in my home county of Logan. And I guess when I first got there, I think President Kessler and some of the guys got a little, not irritated at me, but I kept in some of the committee meetings telling how the South had taken care of the state for so many years. And I'm being very honest. 3 of the counties I represent, Mingo, Logan, and Boone counties, go back and look, do your homework. For the last few years, until we had a little curtailment in the coal industry, a little bit downturn, was sending to the state coffers an average of about $170 million just in coal severance tax. And thanks to President Kessler, and I was on the county commission in Logan, and I actually helped write the bill that these gentlemen got together and worked with some of our delegation over and got it to where we were getting 7% back. And now, over a 5-year period, at the end of the 5th year, we'll have 12% for the producing counties. And that money is earmarked, rightfully so, for infrastructure, job creation, and things like that, that will enhance these areas. Now, I wish I'd have been on the Senate or the county commission back in the 20s and 30s. We should have got 50% of the money, but we didn't. Some of the other states have been able to do that. They have their own road systems. They have all the money they need to operate with and this and that. But you cannot hold Jeff Kessler, Art Kirkendall, or Senator Miller, or the sitting senatorial group now accountable for what was done decades ago. But I can tell you one thing, we got to be a lot smarter with Marcellus Shale. And then when we come down this area and get to Utica, we got to take that money and take care of the producing counties and the non-producing counties, take that revenue and keep our brightest and best kids at home through the educational process and make West Virginia what it needs to be. In our fact-finding tour, we find out a lot of things that they want us to do is to improve what we're doing. When the gentleman mentioned clean coal technology, I serve through his appointment on the Southern States Energy Board for West Virginia, and I've been to Oklahoma, I've been to Mississippi, and I've been all over the country representing West Virginia, because it's a 16-state, 2 territories, Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and 16 states is the composite of how energy is used domestically and sent around the world, how we do it, how we compete. We got a lot to learn. And you find that out once you get on the international market. We've got to be better. We got to be more open for business. We got to be more enticing for business. We got to have good quality jobs and wages and benefits for people that are out there working. There's nothing wrong with working at these minimum wage jobs on your way to a job. You got to have them all. But I think West Virginia is poised through the leadership that we've had, and I think that some of the bipartisanship I think you'll see in the future in West Virginia. We got to forget about Democrats and Republicans to a certain extent and start thinking more about the public and the needs of the public. And we can, and we should, and we must. The last meeting we have will be in my home county, and by design, being co-chair, I said, let's go everywhere else first. I wanted to listen to people in Beckley and Princeton and Oak Hill to see what they say. The only difference is just the location. You people are just like us in Logan. Hardworking, honest, Southern West Virginia people. It's our time. I think we got a 5-year window of economic opportunity with Marcellus Shale development, clean coal technology, as the gentleman was talked about. I found out by going, and I want to try to be brief, I have a passion for this stuff because it can be done, and I'm a part of it. Germany tried it all, nuclear, solar, and everything. They say now we don't want anything but coal. They say there's a war on coal. Well, there is an Appalachian region for obvious reasons. There's not a war on coal in Wyoming. There's not a war on coal in Illinois. There's not a war on coal for the overall production. But for some reason, the Appalachian region is under scrutiny from the EPA. We're in the wrong EPA. We should be in the Atlanta region. We're in the Philadelphia region. It's harder to get a permit here than it is in Wyoming, even though a valley field is a valley field, a watershed's a watershed, and the byproducts are what they are. And I wish I was in D.C. to change some of that sometimes, because it simply doesn't work and it's not even fair. But Boone County and Logan County, two southern counties, have 3 billion tons of reserves left. One other county up north's got 2.9 billion tons. We have 275 years of coal, but we got to make it cleaner, better, more affordable, take care of the environment, and do it right. And we can. I didn't create those piles of gob and stuff years ago that now we're cleaning up. The industry's better, much better. But I can tell you one thing, where the American public's getting duped, if you ever do away with coal, we have the cheapest electrical rates in the world as we speak because of fossil fuels. It burns hotter, better, it's more dependable. Last winter, we had some problems on the East Coast, or a few winters ago, where we almost lost some lives. We're gonna have another cold winter this year like we did last year. They're talking about taking 2 or 3 more power plants off the grid by the year 2016. They have no way to replace the electricity. I made a statement to the EPA. I made a statement down in Mississippi and Alabama. I signed on to the resolution. Please give us time, a moratorium on shutting these plants down. I don't want to have to read the paper that we lost 15 or 20 people through this cycle by dying for whatever reason they didn't have the electrical grid they needed in a hospital or something on machines or whatever, or in a nursing home or a healthcare facility that didn't get proper electrical needs. And it's going to happen. And you remember I told you tonight it's going to happen. If they shut these power plants down, we have no answer for this power grid. It's not there. Do we need alternative fuels? Absolutely. I don't have anything against having a few windmills. I don't have anything against some of the solar panels. But the basic electrical needs that this country will always need to be strong and be the country that we are. This fossil fuels are here for a reason, and we can do it clean and do it efficiently and do it affordable. But I do think that after listening to this is the third leg of our tour, tourism is something we got to find a way to improve. And being in committee, I don't know if you people heard about an advertising group. It was Michigan used to be one of the states nobody wanted to go to. They put together some huge amounts of money in expose in Michigan, and now it's the number 7th traveled state by the tourism industry. We got a lot more to offer than Michigan does. We're one of the few that we got it all. Indoor, outdoor, hunting, fishing, snow, ATV trails, we got it all. History and heritage that trains should be going and dropping people off and picking them back up. We can do it all. And thanks to President Kessler, all this information, will it all be fixed overnight? Absolutely not. But all this data will be given to all the senatorial and the House representative people to analyze what can we do and the steps we need to take. I think we need to move into it slowly and effectively rather than run and stumble and fall flat on your face. But I think we can correct some of this stuff over the next few years, and we got to do it properly and do it right. And West Virginia deserves that chance. So again, I consider it an honor to represent my area, and I just consider myself a West Virginia senator, not just a district senator. So with that, thank you for allowing us to be here, and I enjoy being here, and maybe we can make a difference. Thank you very much.
Anybody else before I wrap up? I do want to point out Jason Crowder, who is here as a representative of your hometown senator, Senator Bill Cole, who's at the Capitol tonight. So he did, I spoke with Senator Cole a little earlier before I come over, and he did express his regrets he couldn't be here, but he did want he sent his representative, so I am glad to see him here as well. But I did hear my good senator and from Logan, Senator Kirkendall and Senator Miller. I appreciate them. They've been faithfully coming to every one of these. As you know, I started this based upon what happened in our sister state in Kentucky with their SOAR program and trying to look at opportunities within our own communities in the southern coalfields to try to create opportunities, take advantage of opportunities to maybe, while the war on coal and the distresses are going on in the coal industry, that we could also look to things that we can do that would maybe be able to provide not only an immediate impact, but also maybe a long-term roadmap for diversification. We've heard some very good things here about, and over our last few days about tourism, or last few meetings about tourism, obviously education, those are, and jobs, and those are the things that we're going to be focusing on, both individually and collectively as a legislature and a Senate, working with our colleagues across the aisle as well as with our governor in trying to bring those kind of initiatives forward. I keep reminding folks, the senator keeps telling me how much coal they produce down in southern West Virginia, and I keep reminding him, he'll say, what do you know about coal, being a northern boy? And I say, well, you know, I happen to represent Marshall County, which is the leading coal producing county in the state, by the way. So, you know, we do right now have both coal and gas. We're blessed to know, sitting up there with the gas reserves of the Marcellus and Utica, and that's why last year we passed with, I think, overwhelming, if not unanimous support, the creation of West Virginia Future Fund, which would be modeled after what's gone on in North Dakota and Alaska and other states, where they maybe take a portion of that severance dollar and don't spend it every year we get it, and set it aside, build a nest egg, an endowment fund that we could use for perpetual wealth and diversification of our economies. We didn't do a very good job apparently with that with the coal. We've produced more coal than any state in the union, but unfortunately many of the counties that have produced the most coal are some of the poorest counties in the state, and that's just not fair. And that's why using this, hopefully funding this future fund going forward with the Marcellus and Utica gas and oil finds that we do have in our state, that we can hopefully use that. But you'll note that one of the dedicated uses of that money and fund, one it is built, is to help diversify and improve the quality of life of the historical coal-producing counties, which are the coalfields of southern West Virginia. So I'm not mindful, we are all mindful of the great sacrifices and wealth that's been put into the state's coffers to help sustain our economy, and I think it's only important that we give and pay some back if and when this opportunity, as it continues to grow and continues to get better, to make sure that we don't just say, well, we're going to keep it all up north, give more to the northern counties. It needs to be used as a nest egg to help every county in this state. So with that, again, I appreciate your opportunity to share some of your thoughts here today with us, and we look forward to our final conclusion of our last tour, and I think we do have a presentation. One of the things we've heard about throughout this, and Tom's been a vocal, I think he's been here every meeting, hasn't he? No matter where we go, Senator Kirkendall, Senator Miller, has he not? But one of the things he told us about was a Piney Creek rail trail, or a trail they're working on. And Gary Moorfield, they have, during their work, they have gotten a $250,000 federal grant commitment, provided they come up with a $50,000 local match, and they've been working very hard raising money and have got $30,000, and unfortunately, they're $20,000 short, and they told us that at their first meeting. And by failing to come up with $20,000, they're going to lose $250,000 of federal grant money, as well as the $30,000 they've raised. So speaking with my senators, we were able to join some of our partnership grant money, and proud to present to them the $20,000 certificate so that they can access the other $250,000 plus of monies that are available at the federal, so that they can make their dream, their vision of this Piney Creek Trail a reality. So with that, we're happy to make that presentation tonight. That doesn't mean everywhere we go we're going to hand out money, but truthfully, but at the end of the day, we will always, whether it's on highways, roads, whatever, when there's federal money and it requires a state match, I'm sure both myself and all the senators from both sides of the aisle are going to try to maximize every dollar we can to improve the quality of life throughout our state of our people. So again, our hats off to all the work you've done in getting this together, and we're happy to play a small role in finalizing it here.